What's up? I'm B and welcome to my channel. For the past 2 years, as we've gone into December, I've typically posted a video talking about things that I think we should leave behind in this current year and not bring with us into the following year. But this time I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach, kind of switch it up a little bit. I have a few random opinions / observations related to YouTube, Twitter, and social media in general that have just been kind of sporadically rumbling around in my head. And so I figured it would just be a fun way to kind of cap off the year with one of my last videos in 2021 by sharing those opinions. And I'm interested to hear what y'all think. If you agree with me, if you disagree, if you have anything to add, of course, you can leave it in the comments down below. This first opinion I feel is going to be very unpopular, but I just gotta say it. The old Jeffree Star tracksuits. Kind of iconic. Jeffree Star. Not a nice person. Not a fan of him personally. But I love those tracksuits. I mean, just a tracksuit in general, I love it. But just think about if you were a social media person and you had either a team with you, like a glam squad, or kind of your friends that traveled with you to different events. Y'all roll up to the airport in your matching tracksuits. You're a squad. It's amazing. And honestly, if there was an influencer that I really like to put out a cute tracksuit, I would probably end up getting one. Number 2. Just because you have a following on social media does not mean that you are more important than literally anybody else. And obviously, we've kind of seen this with bigger influencers where they get this ego, they start acting in ways that you know they for sure would not act if they didn't have their social media presence, and sometimes they need to be reined in a little bit. But I have also noticed this in certain smaller communities on YouTube as well. It's kind of like people with smaller channels or newer channels post things and they start getting views or comments and they're getting some kind of positive feedback and they just take it and run with it. And this can result in a lot of negative things more often than not, kind of getting too big for your britches a little bit. You know, you see people responding to something that you've created and something you've put out, and it makes you feel good and it kind of makes you feel important. And I think sometimes that can go a little bit far where you start thinking that like every thought you have needs to be shared, or every little interpersonal drama that you have needs to be talked about and gone over and over and over again, and just you make it this bigger deal than maybe it needs to be. And you know, I get it. You put something out there and it gets positive feedback and you start to feel really special. Your ego does kind of get a little bit of a boost because you're like, these people like me, these people agree with me. That feels really good. But you just have to be really aware of the fact that just because a few people or a lot of people like you and follow you and watch your content on YouTube does not mean that you are any more important than anybody else. You are still just a human, and it is very important to remain humble. Number 3, influencers cause so much harm when they either pretend to be super close to their subscribers or actually engage in having super close relationships with their subscribers. And we're going to get into Hello Leash a little bit. So with the whole pretending to be close thing, I don't like it. I get it that sometimes you see the same people commenting over and over again and you want to engage with them because you like them and they're supporting your channel and they say things that you agree with or you have good conversations. And if you're doing it on kind of like a surface level, I don't see any harm in that. You're literally just engaging in conversation about a common interest that you both have. But when an influencer kind of puts out a false sense of closeness with a bunch of their subscribers and they're in DMs or they're going back and forth on Twitter or they're having these long conversations in the comment section and they're giving the subscriber, like the creator is giving the subscriber a lot of positive feedback and compliments and oh my gosh, I love you so much. When you're saying those things, it can be really kind of damaging and confusing because, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it's easier for a subscriber to place a lot more importance on a relationship with a creator than it is for a creator to put more importance on a relationship with a subscriber, because just the way you're introduced to each other is a little bit different. You know, as a content creator, you're here with a microphone, camera, computer, ring lights, all of that stuff, and you're talking to technology, knowing that humans will hear it, but you're not seeing anybody's faces. You're not getting to know them on a personal level. As a viewer, you are seeing the face of the creator. You're seeing their mannerisms, how they speak, kind of getting introduced to their personality, and you feel like you know them more than they feel like they know you. And so I think it can just be really confusing and kind of open the door to getting your feelings hurt if a creator has this false sense of closeness with their subscribers, and they make the subscribers feel like this person cares about me on an individual level, when I truly do not believe that content creators have the mental capacity to do that. I don't think they have the mental or emotional capacity to foster close and meaningful relationships with every single one of their subscribers. That's just how I feel. Maybe it's because I'm such an introvert, but I mean, that takes a lot of emotional labor to maintain more than like 20 close relationships. Then we get to the whole actually forming close relationships with your subscribers, where you talk about very deep emotional things, you talk about the things you're going through, you're constantly going back and forth in DMs. The internet can be a really great place to meet friends, but like I talked about earlier, there is already an immediate power dynamic in play. And that's only increased if the subscriber is a member of the creator's channel, or if they pay for their Patreon, if they're in Discords, if they're acting as a moderator. You know, they find you because they like your content. And so it doesn't matter if you have 100 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers. They like you, they like your content, maybe they look up to you in some way. And I think it's a very natural instinct to want to please the creator that you like. And so I think with the whole Hello Leash thing, we saw a lot of people who found Alicia because they liked her content and they supported her content and were regularly engaging with her. And she had a few people that she kind of formed those closer relationships with. And the subscribers who she formed the relationships with, they valued that relationship. And I think kind of what we saw from Alicia was taking advantage of that and kind of using the subscribers that she formed those relationships with as kind of an emotional springboard, or as somebody that she could lean on when she was going through a tough time. And it makes it a little bit harder to draw a boundary or to say, hey, you know, I don't feel like we're kind of equally getting what we need out of this relationship. I'm not sure if it's mutually beneficial. I'm feeling like I'm taking on a lot of emotional labor for you and it doesn't make me feel comfortable. I think it's harder to have those conversations when it's between you as a subscriber and a creator that you really like. And so I think it's just really important, if you are a content creator, especially on YouTube, to be aware of that power dynamic and to honor it. To honor your subscribers, to not take advantage of them and treat them in a way that you wouldn't want to be treated. I mean, think about if you had somebody who was constantly leaning on you and constantly coming to you and expecting an emotional support or response from you, but then they were never there when you needed them. That wouldn't feel good. And I think we see that a lot when creators get really close to their subscribers. It's more of a, what can this subscriber give to me, as opposed to how can we both benefit from this friendship. Number 4, this one is just quick, easy. You would think that it's obvious, and yet it apparently isn't to some people. If you buy something from Jaclyn Hill, you should kind of expect to be disappointed. You should be really aware of who you're buying from and say, you know what, if I get this thing and it's amazing and I love it, that's great. But my expectation is going to be that there might be some problems, that maybe customer service isn't going to be great, that maybe this high quality jewelry is going to turn my neck green. I really don't understand how people are still giving Jaclyn Hill a pass and they're still buying from her. I know there's plenty of people who call her out, but I'm just so confused that her brands are still so successful, considering all of the issues that people have had. Obviously, there's been a pattern with Jaclyn Hill, with the vault collections going so terribly wrong and all the lies and misleading things said in relation to that. We've got Lipstick Gate. We've got people only getting partial refunds, getting no refunds at all. We've got some, there were some interesting pieces of information that came out about her highlighters, about how maybe they weren't manufactured in such a luxury fashion as Jaclyn had claimed they were. We've had website issues, and now with her her jewelry collection, her jewelry business, I've seen a lot of negative stuff about that too. Some people have had great experiences. Awesome, love that for you. But personally, if somebody screwed me over as many times as Jaclyn Hill has screwed over her subscribers, I would just be done. Expect the worst, but accept the pleasant surprise if everything goes as it should when you order from one of her companies. And finally, Twitter. Amazing place to keep up with current events. Devastating place to live your life. We get a lot of information on Twitter. It really is a good place to kind of keep up with what's going on in the world, to learn about new things, to hear different people's perspectives. But I think it's also a place where we see like the worst of the worst that humanity has to offer, and that can really get you in sort of a devastating headspace, because when people are outrageous or hateful, we tend to see their posts or the things that they're putting out get way more attention than people who are like not doing that, than people who are being positive or people who are just living their average daily lives. I know for me, when I was spending a lot of time on Twitter, I felt just really discouraged about the state of humanity. I'm just like, man, everybody is so divided. There's so much hate in the world. People are so mean to other people. Like, this is just really, really sad. And yes, you know, there are people who are super hateful. There are people who are mean. There are people who want to cause harm in the world, and that's a real thing. But I found that when I kind of stepped away from Twitter and was engaging a little bit more in real life and the people around me, the people that I knew and coworkers, people in my community, it was like, wow, there's also a lot of people like this. There's a lot of people who aren't hateful, who aren't mean, who aren't looking to cause a problem, who are just living their daily lives, and they like to have a good time, and they like to have fun, and they're loving and kind. And so, you know, yeah, there are those people that just, they're not great. But those people who get the most attention on Twitter don't always represent the majority of people that you could meet in real life. They aren't a one-for-one representation of the average human being in the real world. Use Twitter responsibly, I guess is what I'll say. Monitor how much time you're spending on there, how much energy and effort you are giving to those negative things, because they can very quickly eat away at you and put you in a very dark headspace, and maybe fill you with a little bit more despair than is necessary. We gotta be aware of the evil things. We gotta be aware of those hateful things and do what we can to combat them, but we shouldn't let them take away joy from our life. But those are just some of my social media observations and or opinions. And now I want to hear what you think, if you agreed, if you disagreed, if you want to leave some of your observations down below. I always love to hear that kind of stuff. And I will also have the website Please Help Find Daniel linked down below. Daniel Robinson is a young man who went missing from Buckeye, Arizona back in June. A few weeks later, his car and his belongings were found on a rancher's property, but he was not there. And so Daniel's dad, David, is out here from South Carolina. He's renting an apartment. He is hosting weekly searches. They are putting the searches on pause for the rest of December, but once January comes, they will be picking back up again. My mom and I went out to one of the searches last weekend, and it was just really great to see people coming together to try and help somebody. There were people who I talked to one woman who'd gone on 5 different searches, and she said, you know, David, Daniel's dad, has my Saturdays. I told him whatever he needs, I am here. And so there were a lot of people who had done multiple searches. There were a lot of people who were newbies, like my mom and myself, but it was just really great to see people come together for somebody else and to support someone and help bring justice to the Robinson family. So you can volunteer to search, you can donate to the GoFundMe, there's a petition that will be linked down below. Please sign the petition, read about Daniel's case, read what David's written, sign it if you feel so inclined. That would be really great. So feel free to check that out. And while you were doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you are subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out with you, and talk about whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.